Good morning and Happy New Year to everybody out there. I've decided to go a little bit further in the future here with the Easter project, but I have noticed that people are starting to look at Easter bits and bobs, because if you are going to make gifts, I suppose you do need a little bit of notice to actually do them. So I've decided to do, yes, you've guessed it, the chocolate orange cover. And here we have a little bunny rabbit, just like the bunny's face more than anything else. I suppose you could count him as a little sort of fat body. I don't know, it's up to you. I've done some nice sticky up ears. You could also bring them down into a lop ear if you wanted to change the position so it look quite cute as well. I've just got some stitched on detail and some little beads, but remember, if you are doing them for younger people out there, if they're under a certain age, beads are not necessarily a good idea. Maybe just stitch on some little sort of wool eyes, something like that. I have also added some felt here. Doesn't have to be felt. You don't have to even do it. Some people use pens. I've done that before now, Pro Marker type pens to make the markings, but I have used a little bit of felt there. So we have a double knit yarn. We have my scissors and needles, etc. As always, I have a cute little bunny stitch marker to keep with the theme, and these are the two pieces of felt that I've used for the ear, and various cottons to match the bead eyes and the ears. So we can move those definitely. Let me make sure they don't roll off. I'll put them safe so they're not going to roll away. Right, so that's that. Here I've just got a little bit of yarn that I use for the stitching. I would normally do whiskers in black, but I decided because they're such pastel-y pale colours, it was a little bit too intense. So I went for the dark grey and the baby pink. Well, it's not really baby pink, it's more of a dusky pink for the nose, but that's up to you. You can do whatever sort of style you want. We don't need our needles. We will need our scissors soon, and we will definitely need our 3.5mm crochet hook. So as you know, they just pop the chocolate orange out. It could be a cozy for anything really. It just sort of sits quite nicely. You don't have, it sort of supports itself, which is good. So it's up to you how you do it. But I'm going to take it off for now because we're going to do a little bit of measuring on the orange like I do normally. So this is just a normal bog standard, a double knit yarn. I think it's a Stylecraft one if I remember rightly. So let's get on with it. We have our slip knot. Now, if you've done these with me before, the first part you'll go, oh yeah, I've done that. So you will find it easier, but I still have to go over some of the details for those who haven't done it with me before. So I have my slip knot on my hook, not too tight, and I'm going to start with my 2 chain, or if you prefer, you can do a magic circle. I just find it easier this way because I'm going to work in this first chain, and into this first chain, I'm going to do 6 double crochets. Now, these are UK terms, remember. So it's just in, pull through, pull through. That's my second one. So we have number 3. Oh, that one's split a little bit. Always take it out if it splits because it will make your work look messy at the end. So we've got 2 there. 3, 4, 5 and 6. I've got my very rough written pattern out here next to me. I will be writing it out and it will be going on my site as well, so it is one that you will be able to purchase on there. I'm hoping to get that done as soon as I've done the video. Actually, you know, I'm sure my camera is moving. Excuse me a second. It seems to be as if my phone is dropping out of its hanger. Is that okay? I think that's okay. Right, we will carry on. So we have 6 double crochets in there at the moment, and now we're going to do 2 into each of those 6. So we'll end up with our 12 stitches. Let's separate that up a little bit. If you're a little unsure where number 1 is, which it is sometimes hard to tell, count from the back. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. White's a funny colour visually. You wouldn't need a good light particularly for white compared with black, but you really will. It does help to have good light. So 2 double crochets into each of the 6. So that's 2 in the first one, 2 in the second one, 2 in the third, number 4, number 5 and number 6. So we now have 12 double crochets. Just keep tightening that up because you don't want that to be loose because it is quite visible at the top of his head. So we're now going to be moving on to half trebles. but I am not going to be doing them in a traditional way where I'm not going to do 2 chain, then go round, stop, start, 2 chain, stop, start. I'm going to do it in an amigurumi style, which I've started doing on some of my other videos. So you do have to keep count for the first round particularly, and then you are going to need your stitch marker because it's not as visible, but it gives you a need to finish. If you look, there's no lines anywhere. So there's no stop start looks, and that can look messy sometimes. I know I've done patterns myself and I've been sort of quite unhappy with the final result. It's hard to do that with a treble, but I have found you can do it with a half treble, so that is what I'm going to do. So we're not going to stop start, we're going to go straight into a half treble. We're going to go straight into 2 half trebles in each of those 12, so we'll end up with 24 stitches. Off we go. So yarn round for a half treble, so it looks like a treble. We go in, we pull it through, we have 3 on the hook. Now, instead of like with a treble, you go a 2 and a 2, we're going to pull it through all 3. That's a half treble. We're going to do another one into the same space. So we do need to keep count here. So that's 1 set, and we need 12 of those. So this is our second set. Yep, this is our third pair of 2. Pair of 2, can you have a pair of 2? I don't know. This is our fourth. I'm making words up. Number 5. Oh, doesn't want to go through. There's number, yeah, that's number 5. Number 6. 2 in number 7. There's 2 in every one, remember. In number 8. Number 9. Number 10, 11, and we have one more. I'm just going to move my wool because it's not unrolling very well, and it's catching. Don't want it to catch on other things. And the last one, 2 in this last one, so that should give us 24 stitches. Now we are going to have a little bit more of an increase because obviously that's not going to sort of squeeze over that orange there, but I am going to pop my marker in. Up to you where you do it. This is a little bit big, this one, but I did want it to be a sort of a rabbit themed one, so I did have to pinch it. I do want my daughter to do some new designs. I've not told her that yet, hint hint if she's watching, because I would like a new range of stitch markers. So in we go. So that is our 24. We're going to now do, let's double check, one more increase, which is going to be still in half trebles, but you're going to do 2 half trebles in the first one and then 1 in the next 2, and that you will repeat. So it'll be an increase one with 2 in, and then a 1 and a 1, all half trebles. Okay, off we go, and there should be 8 sets of that. Can I add up? I've written 8, I'm not sure, we'll soon find out. Right, so that is the first half, and then we need a 1 and a 1, so that's set number 1. Okay, so then we're going to do a 2 in 1, 1 in the next 2, so that's 2 sets. 2 in the next one, 1 in each of the next 2. That's our number 3. See, it's going to look quite a bit bigger now. We have 2 in the next one, 1 in the next 2. That's 4. We need a 2, and we need a 1 and a 1. We're nearly there. We have a 2. Oh, didn't want to go in that one. That's my 2 still. 2, a 1 and a 1. Nearly there. We have a 2. Make sure you don't go into that one. I nearly did then. So hard sometimes when a hole looks like it's been made bigger, you sort of want to go in there and you shouldn't. So that's a 2, a 1 and a 1. This should be number 7, and that looks about right. So we have a 2, a 1 and a 1. So we've changed to half trebles, we've increased, and there is no join lines, which is lovely, because now we're going to continue round on that system. We have enough stitches now that will then stretch round as soon as we start on just treble rounds. So we're going to go round and round and round, and we'll double check our amount. I have got 8 on there. My camera is definitely slipping because it's gone whoop again. I'm going to leave it there. It doesn't look like it's going to fall out or anything. I'm sort of crocheting on a bit of a weird angle now, but we'll keep it going. So as I say, now it's 8 rounds of half treble. So if you're going to be skipping forward, I will see you soon. If not, you want to stay with me, I will be chattering along. If you don't want the chatter, obviously you can turn the volume down, or you can change settings, etc, etc. There's always an option somewhere along the line if the actual tutorial doesn't suit your style. So off we go. 8 rounds of half trebles. Now they grow quite quick when they're half trebles. That's why I've done it in a half treble and not a double crochet. Double crochets have their place, and amigurumi is predominantly a double crochet realm, but you can, like I said, just get away with this half treble. Keep your stitches still nice and tight though, because you're going to be stitching facial details on. You don't want it to be too loose, because you don't want to see the yarn coming through when you're working on this. But this will grow nice and quickly. The ears, the only thing I did time this time, I actually did this time, I don't know. The only thing I did time was doing the ears, and they literally took about 5 minutes each. I will only do one for demonstration purposes, so don't worry, you don't have to watch me do both. But obviously it does need 2 ears in there, and the felt addition is optional. Now I've stitched my felt on. If you don't want to stitch it on, you can glue it on quite nicely. Again, just make sure it's nice and secure. And there's plenty of fabric glues out there. A good PVA glue also works well, but you do have to leave it for a while if it's a PVA glue. I wouldn't recommend any super glues or anything like that, because they can sort of, well, apart from the fact you can get yourself stuck together, they just can damage the yarn or the fabric if you're going to be using yarn or fabric. So you've got to be careful which glues you do use. So that's round 1. I actually have a pen, so I can mark it down. That was 1. Let's keep going. Round we go. So round number 2 here. But as I was saying, you can glue if you wish, but I just prefer to stitch my products on. Sometimes I will use a very light bit of glue to hold them in place, let it dry, and then stitch it, because there are certain details, not on this one, but on certain details you do work. It's nice to be able to hold the felt in place, especially if it's a tiny piece, for you to actually sew it, because sometimes then you'll sew it and it'll be in the wrong place. It sort of shuffles along, so a bit of glue does come in handy there. But I don't like to rely on glue. I think it depends on what it's going to be for. If this is going to be something so you're going to give as a gift, the person's going to have it sat on the side looking cute, you don't need to worry, really. You could get away with glue. But if it is a thing that a child may get hold of or play with, or if it gets moved around a lot or gets re-gifted or something like that, because I mean that's quite a nice way of re-gifting, actually, sort of share it around. I think it's nice to stitch it on, but not everybody likes doing any stitching. I think it's one of those love or hate relationships, bit of a Marmite situation. Some people absolutely love hand stitching, some people wouldn't want to stitch a button on. I actually quite enjoy it. I don't do enough of it. I know I've been looking at some of my recent work. Let me mark down that round. That's 2 rounds. I hope that's 2. Is that 2 or 3? I've been chuntering that much. Chuntering, if you're not sure, it means chattering, talking too much. Something I'm very good at. And I swear this camera is going even. I'm hoping it's just dropping so slowly. It's definitely dropping out of its cradle, that it's not going to matter. I don't know why it's doing it. It doesn't normally. Let me keep going. But I was saying about sewing. I used to do a lot of cross stitch for the Doll's House magazine here in the UK. So it was not mega fine, but you know, I'm on a 32 count and I do the patterns and everything. It was quite fine and I thoroughly enjoyed doing it. But then I think when you do something for so long, you get fed up, which I did. But I found out a couple of my pieces the other day and I'm like, oh, you know, actually I wouldn't mind doing that again. So I might do the odd one, because obviously I have got the doll's houses and I have got my tiny one. I'm going to have to move this camera. This is silly. I do not know what you are doing. Get ready. Stay. Please stay there. We don't want to have to start again. as I was saying, I've got that Tiny Doll's House some of you might have seen. Now that is a 1/48 scale. Some of the cross stitch on a 32 count would work for that. Maybe little carpets or something like that. So I think I need to get my needles out. Says me, on top of everything else. I'm going to be running out of time. Oh, I need about 48 hours in a day. That would be lovely. As long as I could sleep about 24 of them, that would be good. Right, we're almost round on this second one. You can see how it's shaping now, so you know you're getting that shape ready for the orange. So that's 3. Should we have a little quick look? Yeah, you can see. It's good if it's a little tight here, because you do want it to stretch over. If it's looking a little bit too big, sort of really big, you may need to decrease a couple of stitches. And the quickest way to do that in this scenario is to do 2 half trebles together, or quite commonly in a lot of American patterns, they will miss a stitch. You will get away with it, I promise. I will move my stitch marker up, actually. It's always a good idea to move it up X amount of stitches. So off we go for round number 4. And when round 4 is done, we are halfway there. So let's get going with this orange. How are we for timing? 16 minutes. Not bad, is it? I mean, these are little gifts. I mean, I don't know whether you'd be doing them for grandchildren or friends or partners or work colleagues, teachers, I don't know, whoever you decide to do these for. I just think they're really cute. And as long as you can eat chocolate, who doesn't like a little bit of chocolate in there? But if you had to be healthy, or if there's various different chocolates out there, you could always sort of put a piece of fruit in there. Like an apple or an orange fits quite nicely, actually. So they could be quite fun fruit covers for your children to have in pack-ups. I don't know if your children are still in school at the moment. Ours aren't. It looks like we've got about another 6 weeks-ish before our children will be allowed back to school. I think as soon as the vaccination programme gets in full swing, we will hopefully start to see some improvement, and we'll start to see things getting back to normal. But perhaps a little gift. I know you're homeschooling. Why not have a homeschooling gift? The children would think it's fun as well. So when they come to their lunchtime, they can have a surprise apple. I'm sure they'd rather have a surprise chocolate orange. That's another one marked down. We've got 4 rounds now. But perhaps that'd be for later in the day. But for their lunch, they could have a little orange or a little apple hidden underneath. So round we are on round 5. So we're over halfway. Hope wherever you are in the world, things are improving a little bit for yourselves. We are seeing light at the end of the tunnel in one respect, because our vaccine is being rolled out here in the UK, although you do have to wait a while till you're actually protected with it. But I know my own mother is going to be having hers on tomorrow. I was going to say on Thursday, it's tomorrow, yeah. And I know a few sort of elderly neighbours have already had theirs, which is brilliant. So let's just hope it's going to make a difference, because I know our numbers have gone up quite considerably over here. That's why we are back in national lockdown. So let's hope this next sort of 6-8 weeks is going to show some results. Right, we're almost round on our, did I say number 5? We did number 5, and I've not marked 5 down. I'm not 4 down. Or is this number 5? You know, I am so bad at counting. If I actually shut up and got on with my work, never mind. You have to enjoy what you're doing, don't you? I'm going to say that's 5. The beauty of this, because everybody's tension's slightly different, you might find your pattern needs an extra round, or it needs an extra round less. Right, I'm going to mark that down as 5, and let's have a look how it's sitting. That might give me an idea. No, we're okay. I reckon that was 5. Oh, this wool doesn't want to roll very well. And I don't want it to roll off the table. I know the cat's not in here at the moment, but I still don't want it rolling around. So we're on round number 6. They are still rounds, even though it's not technically an amigurumi. with it being a half treble, but they are still rounds. We're working in the round, and we're working in the spiral round as well, which is where the amigurumi base comes from. I know some traditional crocheters find it a little bit weird when they first do that, but believe you me, stick to it. It does make the work look neater. You just have to make sure you keep an eye on your count or your stitch marker when you're working in the spiral. Hopefully a smart doll hat for the end of the week. I've got to sort of, I keep saying this, it's sat there half done. I really need to finish it because I would like to do it by the end of the week. But it's just a nice little cute cloche hat with a bow on it. So you crochet the bow as well, so it's quite sweet. I have a few things on my list. It's just been getting round to it recently. I have to get organised. Right, we're almost there for round 6. So we've only got 2 more rounds to go. So it's looking good, this is, for its time. That's why I've done it. Another reason I've done it in half trebles, not double crochets, because I know people have time limitations. And some of my projects on my YouTube, I want to make a little bit quicker. So just that people can sort of get these gifts out, or they might be doing them for a charity occasion. That's another thing as well. So we're on number 7, and then we need to check how big it is on our orange, definitely after that, because that is the decider round, whether you want more or whether you're already there. So you need it to sit sort of nicely to the base of the orange. You don't want it high up the orange. You don't want the orange to look like it's got a hat on rather than an actual full cover. You'd be surprised to see I'm not using my normal sparkle yarn as well. I was tempted. I did get it out and I thought, no, I'll do it in a normal double knit, because you do find the filament yarns, even though they say they are double knit or whatever sort of ply they are, you will find they are different. I actually think mine, because it is a baby sparkle, even though it's a double knit again, it's slightly finer, so it can throw the pattern off a little bit. So that's why usually on a pattern, if it's a very specific yarn, I will write down what yarn I've used. So sometimes you do need to vary it. But this is just a bog standard double knit, so you should be fine. I think most people in their wool stash will have a little bit of white yarn, and it doesn't take a lot, which is the other nice part of it. And it doesn't have to be white. I mean, rabbits come in every colour you can imagine, but I don't know, I think the white stands out quite nicely. It's very Easter based, isn't it? I don't know why, sort of. And again, the Alice in Wonderland thought, you know, the white rabbit, we sort of have that in our heads, don't we? Right, off we go, back around again. But whatever you've got, you could do a bright pink one if you wanted to. You do a green one. We're on our last round of half trebles. Now on my pattern I've got a DC round, a double crochet round after this round, and the reason being is it nips it in a little bit. So those guys are who have jumped to the end where I'm doing this, I'm going to stop at the end of this round to show on the orange, and then hopefully that's when they might rejoin us. It's determined to try and get off the table, this yarn. I know I mentioned in the last video my daughter bought me a lovely little wooden yarn bowl for Christmas, but obviously these bog standard double knit yarn, but these balls just will not fit in them. I normally just drop it in a basket, but my baskets are full of everything else at the moment because I've got about half a dozen different projects on the go. Almost there. Couple more. That's it. That'll do me. Right, so I'm just going to down tool a second because I know some of you will be joining me. Again, I'm just having a quick sip in my, I've got my Cheshire Cat cup today. Just got some water in there, trying to make myself drink a bit more healthy bit more water, less coffees and teas, they're not good. Right, let's see how it fits. I'm happy with that because I'm now going to do a double crochet round. It just nips it. I not always do it because quite often these are double crochet. It just nips it in a little bit, so I decided that it would work better for this particular occasion. So off we go, 1 double crochet in each. Welcome back to those of you who've skipped forward. And here we go with a double crochet round. Work at your own pace. You need to enjoy doing your crochet, so don't sort of try and keep up with somebody else. Just slow me down in those settings if you think it's too fast, or just start me if you want to do it that way. However it works, as I've mentioned, there's lots of different options on your settings there to make it easier for yourselves. But we're almost done. 25 minutes for his body. We've got at the moment, I remember I was talking at the beginning, so we could say maybe 22 minutes we've been doing the actual crochet. So yeah, I reckon half an hour to 45 minutes, most people. Some might be even quicker, because obviously I've been stopping and starting a little bit. But yeah, I reckon half an hour is an average, 45 minutes or even an hour is comfortable. If you were a beginner, I think you would be able to get that out nicely. If you're not used to half trebles though, have a little practice of them before you do them. They are a lovely stitch and they certainly make things grow quicker, and they're not as loose as a treble, but obviously they're not as tight as the double crochet, so they're just a nice in-betweeny. That's going to be a slip stitch, that's my last one. A nice in-betweeny stitch. Oh, nearly cut the wrong bit. These loose ends obviously want to be sewn in. We've got the one in the middle there and that one. But for now, we're just going to tuck them in. In fact, let me take the stitch marker out. I'm just going to tuck them in. You don't need to see me sew ends in. I'm sure you're okay with that. If anyone isn't though, just give us a shout. Perhaps we ought to have a look at the bits and bobs like that. So that's a nice fit. So it's just curved it in a little bit by doing that final double crochet round, so I'm quite pleased with that. So now we need to have a look at his ears, and as I say, I did time myself earlier for this. It was a bit of a knot going off in the yarn there. I've been having much luck with some of these yarns recently. Don't just pull them straight away. I find sometimes keep them loose and they'll sometimes come out themselves. I think we can pull that one. Yay, we did it. So let's get on with an ear. Slip knot on the hook. You got it. 2 chain, and into this first chain we're going to be doing our 6 double crochets. Let's move that out the way a little bit. Oh, my camera seems to be staying in place now. I wonder what was wrong. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Tighten it up. We are now going to do an increase, but not in every stitch. We're going to do 2 in our first one, 1 in our second one, times 3. These are just double crochets. So in we go. That first one's always awkward. So we're going to do 2 in this one, 1 in the next one. That's set number 1. 2 in the next one, 1 in the one after. That's set number 2. Last time, 2 in the first one, 1 in the last one. So that's increased us by 3 stitches. So we now have 9 stitches there, and we're going to do 2 rounds of just double crochets. It's a bit too small to pop a stitch marker in there, so we're just going to have to count. Again, if you're not sure, count from the back round to the front, but I'm pretty sure that's our number 1. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Always mark down what you're doing. So that's our first of the 2 there, and we're going to do another round of just 9 stitches. But can you see how it's curling? Push it out, it makes it easier, then you can see which side you're on. So here we go. We have 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So that is 2 rounds. We now need another increase round, but we're only going to again increase by 3 stitches, and we're going to do 2 in our first one and then 1 in each of the next 2, similar to what we did on this earlier. And you're going to do that 3 times. So we have 2 in one, 1 in the next 2. That's set number 1. 2 in this one, 1 in the next 2. That's our second set. 2 in the next one, 1 in the next 2. And you've completed any increasing that is going to happen on this ear. And I now have 7 rounds of 12. Now I will pop the stitch marker in. Like I say, it is a little bit big, this one, so it's going to wiggle about a bit, which can be a little bit annoying. That's why I know the ones I've already made are, well, had made, are quite small. They're a lot smaller than this, but I haven't got any rabbity ones. I really do need to get onto that. So we have 12 stitches, so you're going to go round each of those 12 7 times. Off we go. So this is just round 1. You can make the ear as long as or as short as you want. I don't know if you are rabbit owners, but if you have rabbits, you know they all have different size ears. I know we've got 5. Yes, mad. But we do have 5 rabbits, but I've got 2 lops and 2's ears that stick up like this. But they are all different size ears. So you can do it as you want. You could have one going lop and you could have one going straight up. You can turn them slightly. It's entirely up to you when you come to the stitching of this. So we're on our second round now. This, like I say, only takes about 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes to do. So that's my second round. Mark it down because I will forget. That's 2. I've got so many marks on the paper though, you have to make sure you know which one are old ones and which are new ones. So off we go again for round 3. Like I said, there's 7 of these rounds, or as long as you wish. So if you're sort of fast forwarding me or going to the end, I will see you in a couple of moments. That's another one down, so that is 3. We're almost halfway there. This is round 4, which will make us over halfway. So I only want 7. One more, and that's our 4th. Right, I'm just going to move this because it's getting in my way. You can just make sure it's tight, but then just tuck it inside the ear. It's not going to make much difference to sort of its thickness. It's only a little bit that, but it just gets it out of the way so you don't have to worry about sewing it in. So off we go for round number 5. So it's 12 stitches in each round. This is round number 6. Is this round number 5? It's round number 5. I don't know why I said it's round number 6, because I've made 4 marks. Now it's number 5. Now we're on to number 6. This is round 6. So all the way around to your stitch marker. And so you could have made little short ears if you wanted, so you don't have to go this far. You can make really long floppy ears. I thought this was pretty average. 6, last round. Round we go. The last 12 stitches. Well, we're down to about the last 9 now. I think this might actually be one of my quickest chocolate oranges the way we're going. And I'm going to do slip stitch as my final stitch, just because I feel it makes it look a little bit neater on the end there, but you don't have to do it considering you're going to be stitching it on anyway. It doesn't make a huge difference. So let's get that stitch marker off, and what I'm going to grab next is one of my little felt shapes. Now, there's a little bit of fluff on that. The way I work these out is I made my ear first, and then I got a piece of paper, drew round the ear, then I drew inside how I would imagine I wanted this, and then I cut that out to make a template for the felt. So it just sits nicely about there. One thing I am going to say though, I don't want that in the middle, I want it at the side. It makes it easier when you're bringing it together. So keep that to the side, popping this on like that. I will stitch this one on. I've got a pink cotton there. White is just as good, to be honest. It'll work just as well with a white cotton, because I have done that before and it doesn't show up. It just needs to blend in either with the yarn or the felt, so it's up to you. I just had pink cotton, so I thought I'd use it. So just made a little knot in there. Position it out. Again, if you could have glued it in position, I'm going to go from this side, so because I don't want that knot showing. And there it is. So just trying to keep it nice and flat as you go in, just going into the yarn. I use my nail to sort of roughly mark where I want the stitches, and round we go. Now when you are sewing on to wool, sometimes it does get a little bit lumpy. There's not a huge amount you can do about that. It's the nature of the yarn. So the stitches might not be as perfect as if you were going sort of felt to felt, or you were working on fabric. But it only takes a couple of moments to do if you're used to it. Just take your time if you're not. Crafting should be about enjoying. Don't get stressed. I have got stressed about the odd project, especially when I've agreed to do a commission piece for somebody and I'm not 100% sure on what I've been doing with it, or it's taken a lot longer than I'd anticipated, and then I have got stressed a bit because I've tried rushing and things like that, and that's not good for you. So you should craft because you enjoy it, and that it hopefully brings pleasure to other people when you make things for them. There you can see. We're going to go back down the other side. It's not a fancy stitch. It's just picking up the yarn, picking up the felt. And like I say, I'm using my nail as a measure. I know there's a few different methods out there. They're quite good. Some where somebody sort of draws on the finger and that to give exact distance for stitches, which might be a good idea if you're not used to doing it. I've got to be careful because I keep wanting to pull it towards me. I know I've mentioned before, when I'm stitching, I do have a tendency to do it quite close to my body. No, don't do that to me. Right, be patient if you get a knot like this. Sometimes, oh, this is not looking good. Sometimes you can just pull them out. I don't think that one's going to go. That is really inconvenient. We could have done without that, couldn't we? Right, well, what I'm going to do is, you don't want to sit and watch me unpick that. If that happens and it's got that bad, you will have to break the yarn. I'm actually going to start from the beginning again because I don't like starting too much, so that's not going to pull through. That knot is definitely a well and truly fixed in knot. Okay, so I'm going to cut it there. What you would do is you would continue round until you got to the bottom, and the knot's on the wrong side now. See, we all go wrong. That's why I'm not going to edit it. You would carry on round, tie a little knot, and push in any loose ends into the ear. So that's a shame that I did that, but never mind. So I'm going to sew let's move all that pink out of the way. Not happy with that. Right, I'm just going to get one of my wool needles, because I can go back to this after the fact. Is it going to go in? I like a fine wool needle, as you know, but the only problem being is then it's a nightmare. I'm going to have to get a thicker one. Well, we were going so smoothly, weren't we, until that point? That's better. I just wanted to show you how I folded the ear. This is why I want this on the side. So I would just fold over, I would thread through, and thread through. And I'm not going to tie this tight because I need to do the felt, and turn that into a little knot, so it will be nice and fixed, and it gives you that little fold and crease into the ear. Then it's going to come down to how you want to fix this. As I say, I've done mine right high up, right high, that's terrible, really high on top of the head, but you could easily drop it down this way, or even that way, which I think would work better for a lot, because the ear sort of drops that way. That's a little bit more like the lamb I did, didn't it? So I think probably you would have to drop it that way if you were doing it. And I think if it was a lop, I'd be tempted to make the ear a little bit longer. But basically, we're just going to stitch it on into position, decide where you want it, and I'm just going to pick up. Again, like with the felt, really, you're picking up a bit of either side and stitching it into place. I say I don't want to do any more because I've got to do that now, and I would like to finish this as a little gift, so I want to make sure it's okay. As far as the facial details are concerned, again, I have these two. Up to you how you do this. Sometimes it's easier to cut a piece of felt out, which I was tempted with the nose on this one, where you can cut a piece of felt out and stick it or sew it on. Same with the eyes, and I think you would need a little bit of yarn or embroidery cotton for the actual whiskers, but apart from that, I think you could get away with using felt on the details, or if you've got some stick on googly eyes or something like that. But again, just please, I'm just going to pop a knot in the end of this, please be aware of the age group that you are giving this to. So let's take this off. Nose is about here. Now don't go through the obvious holes, because this will just pull straight through for the knot. I need to go through an actual stitch so it holds the knot. Yep, so that's not going to go anywhere now. I'm just turning it this way so I can see what I'm doing. I've done it approximately over about 3 stitches. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go there. So I'm going to go in there and then come back out where I went in. Try not to catch the knot. I did that loads of times when I was doing it. Really need to move that, don't we? So I've just gone over 1. Gone over 2. As many as you want. If you want to make it a little bit more 3D, which this one is, I've gone over a few times, but I think that will do for that. Yeah, I think that's a cute little nose there. And on the inside, you will then just be forming a knot. I'm quite happy with that one, so I am going to finish that one off, even though I've not done the other bits. Sometimes it takes a couple of times, I've not gone through that properly, a couple of times for you to decide you like it. I undid this one quite a few times, so, you know, make a little knot, make sure it's nice and short. I'm going to sew that in afterwards. So we have a nose. I'm sure you've all got different ways of sewing in, and you've probably got better ideas than me, but it's just, this is just one option, because as I say, not everybody likes to sew. Little knot again in the end. We want to avoid as much as possible on the inside, so try and keep it neat. You don't want to see great big stitches across. And I'll just do the whiskers on one side. We'll go with this side because I think it's obvious. So again, I've gone in the same hole as I've been going in and out for that nose, and I'm going to sort of flatten it down so I can see where I'm going. My first one, I want to go down, so I'm going to go 1 down, 1 middle, 1 up. So I think about there should do. And I'm going to come back to the start point, not just go straight across. I'm going to go across, make that one slightly longer, I think. And back to my start point. Hopefully I'm not picking up the other side, otherwise they'll be stuck together. Yeah. My last one is going to go higher. And I've gone a little bit longer again, but it's up to you how you do that. And there you go. So that is one set of whiskers. Now from there, I'm just going to take it in at the top, make sure it doesn't undo, back over to the other side, and we would continue doing the same on the other side to get the details. Now my little beads I've used are just these. I've nearly lost one of them. Somebody asked about these. They're only little, about 3mm eyes. Again, it depends on the sort of look you like. I quite like this funny little sort of tiny eye look. I know the big eye look is quite popular, but I decided I wanted to go with these tiny ones because I thought they looked quite cute, and I've just sewn them on with a basic sewing cotton. So I'm going to move that to one side and pop our completed one back on. So it didn't take long. We're only on 44 minutes. So yeah, I reckon an hour and a half tops, you will get one of these little gifts out. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope if you did enjoy it, you're going to like, subscribe and share for me. The support is very much appreciated, and thank you to all my subscribers that have supported me through the year as well. There's going to be more Easter to come. We've got lots of different things to think about. So again, Happy New Year once again, and hope to see you very soon with our next tutorial. Bye.